All right, ready to roll here on a Saturday morning. Thanks to our friends at Insperity. Visit Insperity.com for powerful HR solution with exceptional follow through. The signature events are behind us. The PGA Tour has completed 8 of them. We've got one major left in the Open Championship at Portrush here in a few weeks. Season coming to an end, here fairly quickly as we're halfway through the Rocket Mortgage Classic. Charlie, great to be with you this
You know
morning.
what that means?
What does that mean?
The NFL is right around the corner.
Wow, you're Detroit Lions.
The Lions.
How about that, Charlie?
They fell down at the end of last year, but we hopefully for this year.
Yeah.
All my good friends in Detroit, kids I went to grade school with, they were so happy.
Yeah.
William West, my good friend, and Jim Jensen. Those guys were and the Linkster.
All those legends.
Yes, they were,
I like Dan Campbell, like y'all's head coach.
Yes.
Excited for the NFL season to get here.
Yeah.
But we have a lot to do as far as the end of this PGA Tour season is concerned. Obviously, the Ryder Cup is around the corner, and a lot of news last week. Keegan Bradley won his 6th PGA Tour event at the Travelers Championship. What a finish that was. Bradley, 39 years old, wins in back-to-back seasons for the first time in his career. Heck of an ending there. I mean, Tommy Fleetwood, Charlie, had a 2-shot lead with 3 holes to go. This is someone, Fleetwood, a great European Tour player and has had a very commendable PGA Tour career. 42 top 10s and 159 starts. Here was Fleetwood after that very disappointing final round there in Connecticut.
I'm upset now. I'm gutted. I'm angry. When it calms down, look at the things that I did well. Look at the things that I can learn from. I said yesterday, I haven't been in this position all year. So it's been a while. Felt like I did a lot of good things, but there was things that I, definitely can do better, and I have to do better. So, the most stupid thing to do and the worst thing to do would be make a week like this a hindrance to what you do going forwards. I obviously played great. I put myself in a great position. I was leading the tournament of 71 holes. I just want to, make sure that I can put myself in this position as soon as possible again, and try and correct what I did this time. But like I say, right now I would love to, just go and sulk somewhere, and maybe I will do. But there's just no point making it a negative for the future, really, and take the positives and move on.
Well, Charlie, he's a class act player. Really appreciate him talking to the media after that tough finish. But how about Keegan Bradley making 168 feet worth of putts on Sunday to win?
No, it was a magnificent showing with Keegan Bradley moving into the Ryder Cup selection process, and he's got a big decision to make. I hope he doesn't make the decision that he wants to, because he's a player. But he chose to be the captain, and the captain of the Ryder Cup, their responsibility is off the golf course. He's got to make sure everything is in tune to keep the golfers, happy and keep the team going. He's like a manager in baseball. We don't want the manager going out and throwing 20 innings or so, whatever.
Yeah.
So I hope and I think he'll make the intelligent decision, because being in New York is going to be an epic Ryder Cup.
September 23rd to 28th at Bethpage Black. Charlie, the last playing captain we saw was your good friend Arnold Palmer in 1963. How much has the captain position adapted and grown, and how much more responsibilities come with that compared to 1963?
It's just the whole Ryder Cup has morphed into a big event.
Yeah.
And the players have to have their space and their time to prepare. We saw the last time we saw a Ryder Cup up north was in Detroit, at Oakland Hills, and there was a Tiger Woods Phil Mickelson debacle. Made some bad decisions there. So hopefully common sense will prevail.
Yeah, and the Americans got someone embarrassed in Italy in 2023. Zach Johnson was the captain, and We just got outplayed on European soil.
Outcoached.
Luke Donald is really an amazing captain for the Europeans. He's done a great job. And I think we had Hal Sutton on the show before the last Ryder Cup.
Right.
And he was telling us how, the captain position is an impossible job because if you win, it's on the players. And if you lose, it's on the captain.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you accept that responsibility, and
Yeah.
and he accepted it, and a couple of mistakes that he made were glaring mistakes, and I always thought the great story about Arnold Palmer went up to Ben Hogan when Hogan was the captain, and when the Ryder Cup was played at Champions, and he told Mr. Hogan that he really didn't want to play with this one individual. And Mr. Hogan says, "Who says you're going to play?"
How good is that?
So, in reality, it's an exhibition of all the talents, and it's a great emotion. New York's going to provide a great backdrop for this event. It's it's the World Series of golf. I don't know what to call it, but I'm really looking forward to it.
The setup is it's already going up there in Farmingdale at Bethpage. When you look at the rosters and where they currently stand as of June 22nd this week, Scotty Scheffler is number 1 on the USA rankings. Then it's Xander Schauffele. Then JJ Spaun. It's interesting. I was looking up, Spawn's going to be on the team, but I was looking up the last US Open winner to not qualify for the Ryder Cup team. And it was Jack Nicklaus in 1967, because at the time, Charlie, you had to have 5 years, a 5-year apprenticeship.
Yes, sir.
With PGA of America.
Yeah. That was a dumb rule, but we have a lot of dumb rules on the PGA, but now we're a modern day organization, and we do things very, very intelligently.
But this was a tournament originally founded and still ran by PGA of America.
Oh, yeah, exactly right. But Mr. Ryder gave the cup. George Bush was very, very involved with that. So it's it's a great sporting event.
Yeah. Looking at the top 6 names for USA, it's Scheffler, Schauffele, Spaun, Henley, DeChambeau, and Thomas. The top 6 is not finalized till the BMW. But when you look at the big time events we have between now and then, it's really just the Scottish, the British Open, the FedEx St. Jude, the first playoff event, and then the BMW Championship is the second playoff event. On the outside looking in, the next 6 as far as captain's picks, Colin Morikawa is first. As far as number 7, he's on the outside looking in. Morikawa talked about the potential of Bradley being a playing captain and what his thoughts were on that. Let's hear from Morikawa there.
Right now, he's playing as one of the best Americans and one of the best golfers in the world, winning a signature event. The consistency I think he's brought this year. I'm sure there's already contingencies to be put in place, because it's not like it wasn't a possibility that could happen. But that's on him. All I know is that as a captain already, he's done things, and I'm not saying there's been bad captains. I've had great captains my past 2 Ryder Cups, but he cares so much about the team, and he cares so much about representing the United States that it like bleeds out of him and it bleeds into us. And that just motivates me more. I mean, I know I got kicked out of the top 6 after last week. I've got some work to do. But it's like, man, you want to be there. Like you want to be wearing red, white, and blue, because when you have a captain like that, when you have other teammates like that, it's, you want to be there. Trust me.
Bradley's assistant captains, Charlie, are Jim Furyk, Kevin Kisner, Webb Simpson, and Brandt Snedeker. Tiger not on the staff yet, but obviously his hands are quite full with, overseeing Scott Rolop's, CEO position of the PGA Tour, and he's trying to fix the game. If Keegan plays, do you have any idea on who the captain might be?
Michael Jordan. At least, no, I'm hoping that Keegan stays the captain.
Okay.
He's a New Yorker. He understands the whole importance of the captain. I mean, he took that assignment.
Yeah.
I and look at yesterday. He had birdie one of the last two holes to make the cut,
Yeah.
and he couldn't get it done. So I mean, it's I don't know.
He did get it done. He made the weekend, but nonetheless on low energy. Had to do a lot of press this week. Went back
600 made the cut.
Yeah, 600 made the cut. Had to go back and see some family and make a few calls as far as what he's going to do in this Ryder Cup position. I think hearing him in some of the interviews, Charlie, I think he is nearly set on playing. But we're going to see. My only question for you, I think looking at if Bradley doesn't play, the next three names, as far as the potential captains picks, it goes Morikawa at 7, Ben Griffin at 8, Keegan Bradley at 9, and then your next three names are Harris English, Maverick McNeely, and Brian Harmon. And then on the outside looking in, you've got Cantlay at 14, Cam Young at 17, Daniel Berger at 18, Tony Finau at 19, Jordan Spieth all the way at 25. There's really not a lot of guys, Charlie, playing better than Keegan.
Oh, there's
And as you said yesterday at lunch, it feels like the Americans need some fresh names when it comes to number 6 to 12.
Behind them, and got to give them a chance to show themselves. And Keegan for the last 2 years has been the captain.
Yep. No, yes. As far as Team Europe, their top 6 names: Rory McIlroy, Tommy Fleetwood, Tyrrell Hatton, Robert McIntyre, Shane Lowry, and Sepp Straka, with your next 6 being Rasmus Højgaard, Ludvig Åberg, Justin Rose, Victor Hovland, Thomas Dietrich, and Matt Wallace. Matt Wallace is your 12th man. He probably gets replaced with John Rahm at number 17 unless, Matt Wallace somehow wins event here in his next 4 starts. There is an interesting young 22-year-old Frenchman, Charlie, named Martin Couvre. He won the Turkish Airlines Open 2 weeks ago, and now he's 2 shots back at the Italian Open going into the weekend. So, that's an opportunity there. We saw Ludvig Åberg kind of come out of nowhere in the last Ryder Cup and make an impact on that team. I think Martin Couvre could do the same, but you've spent some time around Luke Donald, Charlie. He's done a very nice job with that European Ryder Cup team.
He has, because he's a very intelligent, pensive person, and his education precedes him. I mean, he really is organized, and the team knows that, and he's got it all mapped out right now. And here's the problem that we have: our captain is playing, and he's away from that organizational deal. I don't know.
Everyone has an ego, Charlie.
Exactly right, but everybody's got to be common sense.
Yeah.
And the Americans' history, since we changed the way we picked the team, we haven't done worth a darn.
Yeah.
As far as victories are concerned for the Ryder Cup, it's kind of just it's disheartening.
Yeah. A couple live guys, Patrick Reed, Brooks Koepka. These guys have been big names on the Ryder Cup team for the USA in the past. Doesn't look like they're going to have a chance to qualify this year, Charlie.
No, they don't. They aren't. Yeah. As far as I know.
No, they're well outside the rankings. Haven't done much as far as the majors. Obviously, Reed top 10 at Augusta. Didn't have the same kind of luck there at the PGA and the U.S. Open. We got to take a quick break. On the other side, we'll get to some early round Rocket Mortgage Classic headlines. This is the Charlie Epps Golf Hour presented by Insperity, HR that makes a difference. Back after this.
The Charlie Epps Golf Hour, powered by Insperity, continues
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Will Doctor and Charlie Epps.
All right, going into the weekend in Detroit, really, what a leaderboard. I mean, when you think about the last 3 weeks of golf that we've gotten, J.J. Spahn's chaotic win at the U.S. Open, Keegan Bradley's win over Tommy Fleetwood and Russell Henley last week at the 8th and final signature event at the Travelers, to this week, Chris Kirk, 6-time PGA Tour winner. He opened 65-65. He's in a share of the lead going to the weekend with Phillip Knowles and Andrew Putnam. Chris Kirk bidding to become the oldest winner on tour this season at 40 years old. He's had victories in each of the last 2 seasons, one at PGA National in 2023, won the 2024 Century. 2025, a little bit of a different story for Kirk with only 2 top 20s on the season, the last coming 2 weeks ago at the U.S. Open. Here was Kirk on some of the things he's been going through over the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, I played pretty bad all year, and to the point where I was kind of thinking about not playing the U.S. Open just because I was really struggling and didn't know what I was doing, but I really love Oakmont, so that was kind of why I was like, all right, I'm gonna go play and see what I can do, and played really solid. Drove the ball the best I had all year that week, and everything was pretty good. So I think it's just one of those things where you're never as far off as you feel like you are when you're not playing very well. It's such a fine line out here. All the players on this tour are so good that you miss a cut by 1 or 2, and you feel like it's the end of the world, and you feel like you're the worst golfer ever, and you're really not as far off as you think.
Charlie, what can we learn from the Georgia Bulldog about not getting too discouraged about the game?
Well, it is a game that from one day to the next, you can become, your swing just hits the right shot at the right time, and your confidence level goes up, 50 points.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's the guy I like is Harrison English.
Yeah.
I think his style of golf and his ability to hit great shots is great, and he's been a good golfer this year.
No, he has.
He would be a good pick.
Yeah, he has. He won at Torrey Pines, won the Farmers Insurance.
Yep.
Made the cut at the U.S. Open.
Yep.
Harris English has now never missed a cut at the U.S. Open. He's 14 for 14.
So now we've got the Open Championship, and then we got the Tour Championship.
Yeah.
So we got a few more championships that winner could be the person they choose.
Absolutely. And looking at the events that we have left, obviously the Scottish Open in 2 weeks, the British Open at Portrush in 3 weeks, and then you have the St. Jude and the BMW before the rosters are finalized. As far as making the Ryder Cup team, I'm not sure Kirk is in that conversation. Charlie, obviously, Harris English is in that conversation, has a win this season, and has played very solid. I looking at the names on the Detroit, leaderboard, I'm not sure who, if they win, would suddenly make a case to be on the Ryder Cup team. You've got, this is going to sound a little crazy. Luke Clanton's at 11 under. He just came out of Florida State, Charlie. He already has 2 runner-up finishes on the PGA Tour.
Who's he?
Anyway, I mean, he's a great player, All-American at Florida State, way down the rankings, Charlie. But remember, Jordan Spieth, he came on the scene at the end of the 2015 season. No one knew who he was at the beginning of the season. By the end, he had won the John Deere.
He won 3 majors.
Oh, he had won in not 15 and 13, 2013 President's Cup when he holed out at the John Deere Classic. They took him for the President's Cup that year, and he made a big impact. Sorry,
that was
by 2015.
At Deerfield. It was fun watching him.
Yeah. One of Tiger's last President's Cups that he played in. But I don't see any other. Patrick Cantlay, he's tied for 8th at 11 under par going to the weekend. He's 3 back. He's 14th on the Ryder Cup standings.
The only way that I would see that Bradley can be a player is if he gives up the captaincy and names Tiger Woods as the captain of the Ryder Cup.
That's what I said Tuesday, Charlie. I was hoping that his first call after that win would be to one Tiger Woods, saying,
"Well, he's got to call the committee. He can't make that. He was elected by the PGA committee, and he's got to go to them and say, okay, guys, here I'm playing. I'm making the team on points. Let's ask Tiger one more time if he'll be the captain." And I think Tiger and Michael Jordan would jump at it.
You think Tiger and Jordan together at Bethpage?
Oh my God, yes.
I like that. Wow. The two names that need to play well this weekend, Charlie, as far as having a Ryder Cup effect, Morikawa, he's 7th on the outside looking in, and he's been a mess as far as the media is concerned. We'll get to that a bit later on. Morikawa shot 8 under yesterday to kind of put himself in position. He's 4 back, and Cantlay is also 4 back. Those guys, they need 2 good finishes this week to kind of move up the board as far as the Ryder Cup rankings.
Well,
so
they got the Open Championship still.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
right.
going to command a lot of respect if an American wins the British Open this year. I know Bruce Davidson, my good friend, doesn't like me calling it the British Open anymore. It's the Open Championship.
Yeah. It's in Ireland this year. Is that why they don't like that?
I don't know.
Yeah. It is, it is still the British Open, isn't it?
That's it.
Looking at where the favorites are going into the weekend, Morikawa opened as the favorite at 14-1. He's in the tie for 8th. He opened 69-64 in Detroit. Charlie, he said he putted like a blind man after round 1. Opened 69. Morikawa hasn't been putting that great as of late. He switched from a blade to a mallet between Thursday and Friday and went out and shot 8 under 63. And he's on his 3rd caddy this year. A lot going on in the Morikawa camp.
A lot. And we're not sure why.
No. He went back and forth with your good friend Adam Schupak of Golf Week. You like Schupak, don't you? He's a class act reporter.
He has a very good outlook on the game of golf and what the PGA Tour does. And so I value his opinion.
Yeah, we talked to his editor, Tim Schmidt, a lot.
Yep.
They got a great team there at Golf Week. And what happened was Morikawa has his 3rd new caddy on the bag this week. He began the year with his longtime caddy, J.J. Djokovic, who he won 2 majors with. Switched to Max Homa's old caddy, Joe Greiner, for 2 months. And now his former Cal teammate and Korn Ferry Tour member, KK Limbaugh, is on the bag. So, Charlie, Adam Schupak of Golf Week sees this on Wednesday before the Pro-Am and walks up to Morikawa on the first tee of the Pro-Am and asked him what the caddy situation was. Morikawa then told Schupak that his questions can wait until his press conference after the round. So Schupak goes in and writes an article about Morikawa switching caddies and writes that he did ask Morikawa about the details before his Pro-Am and that Morikawa declined to answer those questions. And I guess Morikawa read that story during his Pro-Am, and here was his response to Schupak right after.
Back to the caddy change.
Yeah.
Do you know who's going to caddy for you at the British Open?
I don't. And, I read your article that you wrote. Look, I'm not here to tell people how to do their jobs, but I don't get why you would make me sound bad because you put out my quote that I was playing with Pro-Am partners out front. Those guys are paying a lot of money. They're very important to the community. They're very important to the Rocket Classic. And for you to put out a quote like that, to put me down and saying, hey, wait 2.5 hours. I mean, you called me up on the first tee, So I'm not going to tell you how to do your job. You can write whatever you want. This is America. But don't put me down like that because It's 2.5 hours, Adam.
I thought I was actually giving you credit that you were focused on your pro-am partners.
Okay, we can all read it very differently. That's not how I read it. I don't know how, but I'm just telling you, like, I think there's a perspective where people can read it like that. So I'm just going to leave it at that. We knew I was going to have media in 2.5 hours. I'm on the first tee meeting my pro-am partners as they're teeing off. So on the caddy front, I don't. It's a process that I'm going through. Hopefully we'll find out when the time comes, and I will let everyone know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. How do you feel there, Will?
A couple different things. I really, Adam is a pro's pro as far as journalism.
And you're a journalist.
Yeah, I don't think players should be asked questions before the rounds, before pro-ams, before practice rounds. I think there is this
Mutual respect.
yeah, there's a level of focus that players have before rounds that I think you should leave them alone. At the same time, Adam Schupak, he's been out there for 25 years now. He has a great relationship with a lot of these players, and he obviously feels that maybe he could have gotten some caddy information before Colin's press conference.
Was he looking for a scoop?
He wants to be first on the beat. There's no doubt about it. But
would Dan Jenkins have asked that
yeah,
question?
he would have. He would have. It was
at that time or at the press conference, and everything set up for the players. After
correct. And we already knew
that's right environment.
We already knew that Morikawa would have a press conference after his pro-am. Adam simply wanted to be first on the beat, and I think he asked him in a respectful way. And then Adam went back in and wrote, "Hey, he let his reader know, hey, I asked Morikawa about it, and he declined the answer." What shocked me is that Morikawa said he was so focused on his pro-am partners and so focused on the people that make this tournament go around. I don't know how he has time to read Shupak's story in the middle of a pro-am and then come in and comment on it. I didn't think that Adam win it, Colin, by any means, but yeah, it's just cat and mouse, Charlie.
It bottom line is it's really not that important.
No, it's not.
Let's play the game.
Yeah.
Let's bring the score and let that determine what you do.
Yeah. But I don't think players should be asked questions before rounds.
No.
Or
if you do, you publish them later.
Yeah. Or during the rounds.
Yeah.
These mid-round interviews, Charlie.
I hate those.
They're the worst.
Yeah.
Especially when especially NBC, they have the walker out there, and the walker's trying to keep up with the player.
Yeah.
I think CBS does a much better job with it when they have the ear pod in and they're talking to the great Jim Nantz. I think that goes a little bit better, but still, there's no information that they get during the rounds that couldn't wait until after.
Yeah. That's just a producer wanting to
a little more juice, huh?
Yeah.
All right, we got to take a quick break. On the other side, we'll get to your questions. This is the Charlie Epps Golf Vibes of Disparity, HR that makes a difference. Back after this.
The Charlie Epps Golf Hour, powered by Insperity, continues
on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here's Will Doctor and Charlie Epps.
Okay, continuing as far as the world of golf is concerned, Chris Kirk, Philip Knowles, and Andrew Putnam are your leaders at the halfway point of the Rocket Mortgage Classic at 14 under par. Before we continue with your questions, Charlie, we have some listeners who feel like the walls are closing in as far as their business is concerned. There's some obstacles that they're having to growing their business. And I know you have a company with a solution, and they've been helping out companies around the country since 1986.
Remember when the Lone Ranger, and you probably don't remember the Lone Ranger, would come to the rescue, and he'd ride in on his pony and help out the lady in distress. Well, Insperity is a company that can do that. They are put together to help small business succeed, so communities can prosper. And the reason why is because they understand small business. They were a small business at one time in 1986, and they've grown their business, $7 billion. So if you need help and you want some good ideas to improve your business, to grow your business, give Insperity a call. Insperity.com. Go to the website. You read about them. Read about the successes that Paul Servati and his team have had. It'd be time well spent, don't you think, Will?
I completely agree. I mean, if you're a serious business owner, Insperity is the company that can help you develop an HR strategy, and one that includes access to Fortune 500 level employee benefits. And that's something that can attract and keep great employees. So head to Insperity.com. Get your HR outfitted with the very best. Get your HR outfitted with Insperity, an HR company making a difference. We continue as far as the world of golf. Charlie, let's get to a couple questions here. This one comes from Hector. Charlie, Andrew Putnam has 22 one putts through 36 holes at the Rocket Classic. How can I begin to make more putts? 22 one putts. I mean, that is 36 holes. That is unbelievable.
A professional that probably practices an hour a day all year long, and he plays 3,000 holes a year for cash, and he's really got his focus on the right stuff. And the right stuff is basically fundamentals. Golf is a target game. You've got to have your focus on your target and understand that your hands will pick up the feel and make the ball roll with the putter. Those are, let the club do the work. Don't you try to hit it at it. Just stroke it. Just caress it. Just kind of like Ben Crenshaw, Jack Nicklaus. Jack Nicklaus, every time he hit a putt, it was right in the middle of the hole because he could read the greens correctly. Most of the time, the people that are bad putters are bad green readers. They have no idea how to read a green. And so it's all based on gravity and in common sense and which way the grain is growing. The grass grows the direction the sun grows. So you've got to have that in your green reading. So learn how to read the greens and your putting is going to improve.
Charlie, we played yesterday. You were testing out a new putter. You had the lab putter.
Yes.
A couple different lab putters with you. Our friend Mark Button,
yes.
the great Mark Button, who's writing your book. We were out there playing some golf with him yesterday, and you have a version of the lab putter with the broomstick grip, and he had a little bit of a different one with a regular grip. These are becoming a hot commodity, especially after we've seen guys like Lucas Glover and JJ Spawn resurrect their careers with this putter. What do you think about it?
Well, once again, the manufacturing of these putters have taken on a scientific effect in how they take a block of metal and put it in a position of balance, and they have these machines that can mill the putters to the nth degree, and they're so balanced. So as you swing this lab putter, the lab putter kind of stays square to the line because the way it's engineered. Engineering has gone into making this putter, and I think everybody should try one. I mean, I guarantee you'll see a difference.
A lot of people are having, a lot of success with them.
Yeah.
Adam Scott is another one.
Yeah. Yep.
He's had a good year with the lab putters, so it's interesting stuff. You met the rep at the Houston Open.
Yes.
Nice
yes.
people.
Nice people. Very, very, very into engineering, and it's a precise tool.
Yeah.
For putting, and it does help the putter, stay square to the line you want the ball to roll on.
Is that the most important club in the bag, in your opinion?
Well, if it isn't, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Because I mean it's the last club you use on a hole, and you can go for the 3-putt, screw your score up real quick.
No doubt, Charlie. Here's Mick. Charlie, I saw this kid Philip Knowles make 3 eagles in 1 round yesterday. Should my approach on par 5s always be to go for it, or is laying up more reliable?
Well, it depends where you are in your career, but Nicholas always had an atmosphere. I mean, attitude. Hit the ball as hard as you can to go find it and hit it again. So you got to learn that speed early on, and fear not, and you can create a better score doing that. So don't be afraid to swing at the ball. I mean, you swing your club at 100 miles an hour, that's a lot. And then if you hit it with the face of the club, the ball's going to go the desired distance. But swing hard in case you hit it. That was Blaine McAllister's famous saying to all of his amateurs: swing hard in case you hit it.
I was just going to ask, so you spent a lot of time around Freddie Couples and Blaine McAllister. Were there approaches on par 5s? I mean, obviously Freddie Couples, one of the longest players, to ever play. Those 2 players, was there any difference with their approach when it came to par 5s, going for it in 2? Did Freddie have the advantage just with his length?
Freddie had an advantage. His length was legendary, and he hit a lot of solid shots. But also, Blaine McAllister was a great iron player, and he was one of the best guys I knew could hit a 1-iron as straight as you could point it.
Wow.
And he could hit it high and soft. So back then, when he was playing at his best, there weren't these hybrid clubs where you can hit the ball high and soft with a club that looks like I'm not sure how to describe it.
Yeah.
But they're made specifically to get the new balls high and soft, get the ball up in the air. That's the way they're designed.
Yeah.
The utility club.
Yeah, one of my favorite kind of young up-and-coming players, 20-year-old Aldrich Potgieter. He's a South African. He's in
How about this kid?
I mean, Charlie's #1 on tour in driving distance.
Well, have you seen him?
Yeah, I've seen him up close and personal. I watched him in Houston.
I don't want to get in a fight with him.
I watched him in Dallas. He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He came up through the Korn Ferry Tour last year, was a great amateur player, didn't go to college, came out on the Korn Ferry Tour and won in his first year, and has contended at a couple of the right course fits this year.
Yep.
Mexico, contended on the European Tour quite a bit over the fall. Has had a decent spring, top 5 in Mexico, was in a playoff with Brian Campbell, and then finished 6th at Colonial a couple weeks ago
Colonial is a hard course.
It's a tight golf course
for a rookie.
Yeah.
To get in and put the scores on the scorecard.
Yeah.
So,
but the reason I brought him up
Yes.
was, he's only 2 back. #1, going to have a good chance to win this weekend. But #2, put a new set of irons in his bag. The new Titleist T100s, and said even for someone with his speed, he was still looking to get his long irons up in the air a little bit more, and so made that switch, and also switched the Pro V1X this week, get a little bit more spin on it. But it kind of with his speed, I wouldn't expect someone to be still looking for more length and height, but it's an advantage that has to be, you have to take advantage if you're him.
Well, I saw a kid from University of Houston at the fundraiser for Jimmy Irwin's foundation at River Oaks, and he was on one of the holes hitting shots for everybody, and we had the track man there, and this one gentleman walked up and said, "Well, now how far are you going to hit this one?" He said, 350. 350, 350 yards.
He did it.
I said, "Okay, let's see this." I mean, I still can't believe what I saw. So this young man from University of Houston hit the ball 350 yards, and it was like the ball came out of a gun. I mean, it was hit just like a bullet. I mean, I was in the Army and the artillery, and we'd shoot these cannons, and this trajectory, the shell would come out and you'd see it, and it would disappear in 2 seconds. Well, I don't think I saw the ball. It went so fast to go 350 yards in the air.
Yeah.
I still can't believe what I saw.
Unbelievable. He's only a freshman, right?
Yeah.
We're still working on the name, but
That's it.
he's only a freshman. 350 yards.
Yes.
Unbelievable. How far is Charlie Wiley hitting it right now?
Charlie's hitting it pretty good. He's
Yeah.
hitting it 320,
Yeah.
if not a little longer. He's my man.
That's good stuff. Could just qualified for the Southern Amateur.
Southern Amateur.
Congratulations, Charlie.
We're going to go up and watch him.
The blessings.
Blessing.
Wow. We got to take a quick break. This is the Charlie Epps Golf Hour providing Disparity HR that makes a difference. Back after this.
This is the Charlie Epps Golf Hour on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Powered by Insperity.
Now from the Veritex Community Bank Studios, here's Will Doctor and the golf doctor himself, Charlie Epps.
Yeah, just a little more on our guy Aldrich Potgieter. He is the youngest PGA Tour member right now, 20 years old, 9 months and 14 days, and he's leading the tour in driving distance at 326.6 yards per drive. 326 yards. I'll tell you another guy who has all the distance in the world at a much older age. It's Padraig Harrington, Charlie. He is at 6 under par in a three-way tie for the lead at the U.S. Senior Open, going for his 10th win on the Champions Tour and second U.S. Senior Open championship. That's amazing how hard he can continue to work at that age, Charlie.
Incredible.
Yeah. He got into it with Roger Maltby after his round yesterday.
Oh, did he really?
Big time. They were face to face.
What about?
Well, Harrington hit a drive on a hole, somewhere that was nearly out of play. They had to go looking for the ball. They ended up finding it. But after the round, Harrington got mad at Maltby for not helping out in the search for his ball.
That's not his job.
That's what Roger was saying. He said, Padraig, I'm trying to stay out of the way here.
That's right. He's going to report on what's happening, not looking for golf balls.
He's trying to be the invisible man. So I thought it was as a tough look for Harrington. Maltby seems like, just a world-class guy.
He is.
He's a PGA Tour winner.
He's a golfer. He understands what's going on. Now,
how intense is Harrington?
Intense.
Stewart Sink's up there too. He's at 6 under in a tie for first at the U.S. Senior Open at the Broadmoor. Have you played that course a bunch, Charlie?
I've never played it.
Wow.
I've never played the Broadmoor. I've been by it, but I don't do very good in altitude.
Yeah. You played Cherry Hills with Nicholas.
Yeah, I played that championship. That was fun, but it was a test of breathing, you might say.
You get any update from your guy Cabrera, Charlie? He's having just a little bit of a rough go on the greens at the Broadmoor. He's trying to. Yeah, he's already won the first two majors of the year. So
that's really hard for a first timer to go up into that altitude, and the balls really don't break the way you're accustomed at sea level. The mountains can really affect the direction the ball is going to go, and it's contrary to common sense, you might say. I can't believe I just saw this ball break up the hill, and it's an optical illusion, but it's difficult.
I got to be rooting for Stewart Sink going into this weekend. He won we saw him win the Insperity Invitational a couple months ago, Charlie, and his round yesterday was beautiful. 66, hit all 18 greens in regulation, and birdied 5 of his last 7 holes. I just think he is obviously one of the more class act players on the senior tour. I'm surprised he doesn't get a call for a little more captain's positions. Stewart Sink,
that might come.
British Open champion, beat Tom Watson in the big moment.
Yep. He might be the next one, but he'll get his chance.
As far as moving back to the PGA Tour, a couple other headlines from the last 2 days. Jake Knapp, he won the Mexico Open a couple years ago.
Okay.
He set now, you know what? I'm sorry, Charlie. I don't want to be wrong on this. Let me just check this. He either won the Mexico Open or the Cognizant Classic a couple years ago. One of the two. This is another long hitter. He's got that Bryson DeChambeau crank driver in the bag. He won the 2024 Mexico Open. I was right about that. And he set the course record at 61 yesterday at Detroit Golf Club. Here was Knapp on that historic round.
His
I don't know.
stroke.
You know, I mean, I'm definitely not afraid of shooting a low number. I feel like when I start making birdies, I want to make more. And, you know, I was even kind of thinking about 59 when I stuck it close on my third to last for eagle and figured I could maybe eagle that and then birdie the last two. But no, I don't know. I mean, I think when you're playing well, just try to stay out my own way and just try to keep doing what I'm doing and making more birdies.
Charlie, 72-61 for now. What in a tournament? What was the largest difference between scores between a first and second round?
The best round I had in the tournament was 63, and I had opened with 70. But that 7 shots is quite
Yeah.
a bit. I'm not going to tell you how I finished, but
63 is all that matters, Charlie. 63 on one of those 4 rounds, incredible stuff. You know, the top of this leaderboard: Chris Kirk, Philip Knowles, Andrew Putnam. Kirk, he's a 6-time winner. Has obviously been in this position a lot. You got a couple other names up there, as far as players with big time experience within, 3-4 shots to the lead. Hideki Matsuyama's at 11 under. Gary Woodland at 11 under, 3 shots back. He's been doing a lot of good work with Randy Smith, Charlie.
I want to see him win.
Me too.
He deserves it. He has really accomplished a lot. You talk about a mindset to go through what he did in incredible operation by some great doctors, and get him back on the golf course and have him do what he does is really an inspiration for everybody. They read a story about him and you'll be impressed.
I had a major brain surgery last year and has come back very strong. We saw him contend in Houston.
Yep.
And has just played very well this season. And it seems like it's all going to come together here pretty soon. I don't know if it's going to be before the end of this season, but it's been a very positive year for Woodland. You also have Morikawa up there, 3 shots back at 11 under. He needs a win more than ever.
Yes.
The media can't stand him right now. The fans are starting to catch on a little bit. He's dropped out of the top 6 on the Ryder Cup rankings. It's a big weekend for Colin Morikawa.
Yep. But he's still got a major that he's won.
British.
That he can do it again. He knows how to play those golf courses. Although it's in Ireland, he won in Great Britain. But
what do you know about Portrush, Charlie?
Just a great golf course. It's seaside. It's in the mountains. You walk and you look down on a lot of the shots. I like that atmosphere of it, but it's a tricky one, and of course the weather can be a factor in those Open Championships because of where it is in the Irish Sea.
Yeah, really a great next 2 weeks to lead into that. Obviously, TPC Deer Run in Silvis next week. Always a great tournament, a historic PGA Tour event, and then you have the Scottish
Open,
at Renaissance, which you've been to,
right? And
that's going to be a great prep week for them.
That's right. That could determine who's going to play on the Ryder Cup.
Yeah. Incredible, great stuff today, Charlie.
Thank
My
you.
pick's going to be Aldrich Potgieter for the weekend at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. He's knocked on the door, Charlie.
How do you pronounce his name?
Aldrich Potgieter.
Potgieter.
I'm still learning that one, Charlie.
All right. Me too.
South African, 20 years old, has had a chance multiple times between the European Tour and the PGA Tour this year. Potgieter. God, I got to get this one down, Charlie.
You're the pro.
Yeah. Great job today. Thanks, Abigail, behind the 1s and 2s. We'll see you next Saturday. This is Charlie Epps Golf Arbors Divine Disparity, HR that makes a difference.
Big John's just walking in the room. That's it. Johnny, good to see you.